So I came to this sudden realization about Juan O Savin, and there's one idea that he usually spreads, which is basically the percentage of people that need to realize the predicament we're in. And he's always referring to that percentage so that when he gets to that kind of tipping point, then they know they can, quote unquote, make a move. And I've always thought that was kind of suspect, because it's like, okay, how are you going to really measure that? And some people say, well, there's these supercomputers and they can even predict the future and so on. But I never really resonated with that whole thing. So I was like, how is that going to work, really? You know, it's not like you can do a survey. So what do you think about the Great Reset? You know, that's just not going to work. But I came across this talk by Mark Passio, and he's talking about free energy and the fact that we could get free energy right now, but we wouldn't be ready for it. And because of that, we would go back to the way we were before. Mental model of scarcity that's always been kind of foisted upon us from years and years and years, and manipulated to make it seem like there's scarcity, from how money works to how resources in general work.
We still have to go through a paradigm shift in consciousness before free energy can be manifested as a technology on Earth. Until these false beliefs are purged from human consciousness, don't expect free energy to manifest. It will not, it can not manifest until we change our own belief systems and stop believing in things that are based in violence and coercion and deception and ignorance.
And so I heard his talk, and I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. It makes me think of, you know, when somebody wins the lottery, let's say, and they win the lottery and then they just lose it all. They don't really have the wealth wisdom to really keep it and keep going with what they've received. And the same thing is for the collective. I think, you know, I agree with him that we may, if we got free energy, go back to that paradigm where a few people control that energy. Whatever manipulation might happen from that, it's just one of those, you know, habits that's kind of ingrained into the collective consciousness that could have that all transpire. And so I thought about that, and I was like, okay, well, that means that we have to basically offset all this manipulation that's been going on through media, through a look at our history and how they convinced us that, you know, the pyramids were made to be a big, huge tomb for the pharaohs, and that the slaves just rolled these huge stones, big logs. So examples like that, and just ongoing onslaughts on our collective consciousness through our health, and really hiding new discoveries. You know, the Smithsonian always seems to show up and take everything away. As soon as a new discovery is made, oh, we'll research this a bit and then we'll get back to you and we'll bring it out to the public. And you never hear from that whole discovery again. And so you have these ongoing things. So how do you offset all that? Because that's years of manipulation and ongoing, and people actually are now begging for their own slavery. And so how do you offset that? And the realization is that, okay, you've got the 100th monkey effect. You don't need necessarily a mass of like 70%, 80% of the people at all. You just need a collective tipping point where these certain core people are the 100th monkey. And what happens with the 100th monkey? The whole collective didn't have to know. It just had to get to the 100th monkey, and it kind of spread through the rest of the groups, even though they were on separate islands. So there's this collective consciousness idea in the 100th monkey and that whole tipping point. And so even if we've reached that tipping point, it's like, okay, how can we make things go faster? And I think a lot of that comes from, even if you don't create content, sharing content. Like, for example, this content. If you find it resonates with you, then definitely share it. And you stumble upon other content and share it and share it. And the more that we share all that, I think the more that we kind of offset the manipulation, also just get to the 100th monkey effect, the tipping point. And again, even if we've reached that tipping point, we can at least speed things up a bit. So I finally see where Juan O Savin is like, it's a really, really long game. And there's no way of knowing. And his idea, from what I understand, is that they need to get all the people. And I think that's an impossibility, really, unfortunately, because you have so many ideas ingrained in so many different people. I like the idea of it's not the people. Like, it's not about Trump, it's not about Juan O Savin. It's not the people. It's the collective ideas that those people are kind of a pinpoint of. And so if you have people who are going to, you know, take over again, it's not like you can get all the people. Because if you have in the mass of collective consciousness this scarcity mentality, then that'll always come through to fruition, regardless on if they win the lottery. And the winning the lottery is our free collective freedom with, you know, free energy and all the other things that can come forth finally. And so it's not about the people, it's the mental habits, it's the capacity. I resonate more with that idea than we're going to get them all. That whole idea that women, you know, that you get all of them and then it's fine. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.